disclaimers or one of the most dangerous. So what is stevia? Obviously, I'm talking, so I'm sure you already know which direction I'm going. Yeah. And so will it really help with weight loss, and is it safe for pregnant mothers? A lot of natural things, even though they have those disclaimers, not for pregnant or nursing women, are actually probably good. This one, we're going to see why we should probably stay away. Where I got this information was the Doctor's Artist Show, and you can actually, if you go to the doctorsartistshow.com and you go there, you can see this presentation where he has all his slides available. So this is where I got it from, including his research, because you can watch anything on social media, TikTok. Oh, this will help you lose weight, this will help you gain weight, this is bad, this is good. Yeah, prove it.
Yeah.
You have any evidence? Because everybody's saying all these things. So you can actually go to his website, click the scan, and this was published, I think it was December of 2025, so not that long ago. He came across this, and he just made a special show because it just blew his mind, this information about stevia. And in America, do we have a problem with obesity and infertility right now? I'm not saying it's stevia. I'm saying it's a small little piece of the big picture. And just because you get rid of it doesn't mean you're going to be totally healthy either. And so we know that fertility rates, and according to the media coverage at the CDC, it has dropped. We're having lower fertility rates. And here's another one by NBC News. And it's just making the point that even world over, fertility, conceiving of a child, has gone down. So what's part of it? And this is a piece of it, not a big piece. Global infertility, medical news by Life Sciences, and that it's going down. There's a birth rate crisis. Isn't as bad as you've heard. It's worse. And so there is something going on. And when they look at the birth rates of the countries, you can see that they're all having, the darker the more common they're having, their birth rates going lower. But it's actually happening globally, that we are having lower fertility and people trying to conceive. Not only that, but we also have obesity. Obesity is going up, people are gaining weight. It's like we're trying to do the right things, we're trying to cut out the sugars, we're trying to exercise more, and it seems like things are going in the wrong way. And this is by the NIH. By 2030, nearly half of all U.S. adults will be obese, experts predict. And so it's getting worse, it's not getting better. Even with all the knowledge we seem to have, technology, modern things, we're going in the wrong direction. They predict by nearly 260 million people in the U.S. are predicted to be overweight by 2050. And so this is not going away. BBC, over 50% of adults worldwide predicted to be obese or overweight by 2050. So we're going to go into stevia, because I use stevia for a long time, for a very long time. It's natural, right? It comes from a plant. You can actually buy the plant. It's green, it's pretty. Okay, finally something clean, not, what is it? What's the one that starts with an A?
Artificial.
Yeah, the artificial one.
Oh, aspartame?
Aspartame. Aspartame is actually a byproduct of when they used to make Agent Orange, which is now what they make Roundup out of, and one of their other things they have is aspartame. They made aspartame to be an insecticide to kill insects on the plants. Well, they taste it, they go, wow, this stuff is sweet. Let's, sell it. It was approved by the FDA because it doesn't kill a person, it kills bacteria and pests. So if you eat a lot, it will mess up your microbiome, and that's why they say drinking Diet Coke will actually lead to not weight loss, but actually found weight gain, even because it's killing your microbiome. And when that messes up, it's just a whole nother conversation. And so we look at stevia, like, yeah, we got something safe. So we look at stevia, and this is a molecular and cellular endocrinology. And what's really great about when you go to these slides, you can go click on the research. So if I'm not giving you enough information, you want to ask another question, how did they do this double blind or whatever, in vitro or not, and so you can ask all those questions. but we're just going to go with the highlights. And so stevia, they said it was, it's purified from the stevia plant, and that's what it looks like. Really, you know, a beautiful plant, and they take out the sweetener in it. And what they found, that the increasing prevalence of diabetes and obesity worldwide, in conjunction with the growing concern over safety of the chemical sweeteners such as aspartame, has led to growing demand for a natural non-calorie sweetener such as stevia, and the whole name is glycosides, which are presumed safe to eat and are acceptable to taste. So they made it to solve a problem. You know, I'm like, yes, now I was one of those, I'm gonna go ahead and consume it. In other words, to lower plain sugar consumption. You want to hear an interesting fact? In sugarcane, we're talking about sugarcane, for you to digest 1 molecule of glucose, sugar, it takes 50 atoms of magnesium. And so if that is your carbohydrate you're eating and you need to live, your body will digest that sugar. And if it can't, because that white sugar is processed, those 50 atoms of magnesium that are naturally in the sugar cane, 1 molecule of glucose to 50 atoms of magnesium. I wonder who designed that. So if you clean out that sugar and you get pure white, your body will digest that sugar to make energy, to make ATP. It'll just pull the magnesium out of your bones. And you can realize all the problems that has with muscles and muscle cramps, because you don't have enough magnesium, as well as you're going to have osteoporosis in the future. But it'll digest it. So interesting. I know I got off track. And so they actually promoted it to stop world consumption of just raw sugars. They wanted something healthy. So that's why it was recommended. And they have different ranges of stevia that the FDA has that are approved in foods. And so we can see right here in chocolate products, they can have 270,000 nanograms per gram, or in chewing gum, they can have 3,300,000 nanograms per gram. Now the lowest is in cereals like cereal, potato flour, and this is important for later because it seems like that's not much. But how much do you have to have a stevia to be bad? Are these ratings, are they too low? Are they too high? Are they safe, not safe? So that's why we're just looking at them briefly. Okay, so we're going to compare how much stevia is allowed in food to how much stevia can actually produce harm. And take a guess. Currently, do you think do you think those rates that we saw, do you think they're safe or not safe? Just take a guess. We'll find out. I know the answer.
I'll
say not safe. You'd say not safe. Yeah. Okay. And so we're going to look into it. Now, stevia, when they first tested it, they found that it was well tolerated by people with type 2 diabetes, and they did keep their normal glucose range, because it was a one-time test. Consumption studies demonstrated that intact stevia glycols are poorly absorbed by human after oil consumption. So when they ate the stevia, they tested their urine, and they saw it's coming out. Some of it's coming out in the urine, and so it must be. Excuse me, I have to take that moment. They tested the blood, and let me just go ahead and read it. I forgot exactly how it went. However, they thought it was poorly absorbed. However, when they may be hydrolyzed to the metallic steviol in the intestinal microflora of the colon is where the majority is absorbed. So even though the body didn't absorb the original product, when the stevia gets into the colon, it is processed and changed into a different chemical.
What happened was they were looking for steviol glycosides in the stool and in the urine and blood, and they didn't find any in the blood, but they found it in stool and urine. And then what happened was they didn't realize, they said, so it's not being processed, it's just being passed through your body. Well, they found out later on that the biome, the bacteria in your gut, stevia glucuronide, okay, and curonide, whatever it is, and in the liver, it actually moved it to the liver and was changed into that, and that is absorbed.
So this is what's causing the problem. It's not the stevia, it's what is being made and produced by the bacteria in the colon, in the digestive tract. That's the problem that we're having. So the stevia glycosides, although stevia is not absorbed by oral consumption, so that was true. Because it's feeding the intestinal flora, it's actually producing a new chemical, which is, which they do find excreted in the urine, and it does make problems in the body. So let's look at this chemical that's being produced in the gut. And when they test it, the studies, devastating results of stevia were only tested up to 225,000. Okay, now look what's allowed in our food. The only one that is less than the 25,000 that they tested for stevia was for like your cereals and grains. So keep this in mind. The study we're going to look at is not at these levels. It's at an extremely low level compared to what's allowed in our food. And so what they found was stevia glycosides and stevia possess a steroidal structure and therefore may have a potential to act as endocrine disruptors. So endocrine disruptors, y'all, it's anything that messes and manipulates your hormones. Like there's a lot of talk about like estrogen disruptors. So if you drink from plastic bottles a lot, it can mimic estrogen, and so you have too much estrogen. If you eat too much soy, that's an endocrine disruptor. If you have soy oil or anything with soy in it, that's an endocrine disruptor for estrogen, and so that's why you have the phrase there's a soy boy, or they have some feminine characteristics and things like that. It's actually because they're being exposed to foods that are probably fried in soy oil or plastics, and it's so prevalent today, you almost cannot get around it, the estrogen today. So, but your body actually, as long as you don't overdo it, like just cut out soy oil, but you still can't not get exposed by it. You have to drink out of plastic bottles sometimes. But actually your body, because of progesterone, another one, it actually can regulate that. It's like God's safety mechanism. But anyway, so it turns into, stevia glycosides possess so it's an endocrine disruptor is what they found out. And the main thing that it's disrupting is progesterone. And we hear a lot about estrogen, but not much about progesterone. And so progesterone is also important in fertility as well as weight. And that's two things that it's really important to look at that. So fact number one is it makes steviol glucuronides. Steviol is an antagonist to progesterone, and steviol affects sperm function. So this is how it affects the male part of reproduction, about becoming fertile. So studies report that steviol or stevia can be an antagonist to the progesterone receptor. Okay, is this fact good or bad for women wanting to get pregnant? What do progesterone antagonists do for women? So if progesterone in the way that, because progesterone can be an endocrine disruptor in different ways, this one is an antagonist, and it can be both. And so for men, it affects the way the sperm is effective as far as impregnating the egg.
Yeah.
For women, it has a different effect for women. And the way to find out the truth, they know it affects progesterone. But how? How do we know that? Because no one really puts the whole picture together. We know progesterone affects it this way, we know this. So it's what they can do is she can just go to drugs.com. And you can ask it, what does progesterone receptors modulate? And when you find out what it modulates, agents that act as progesterone antagonists are used as abortifacient
Yes,
In other words, it causes an abortion. But actually, even though they put it as that, there's different kinds. Stevia works as, it's not just, doesn't cause the abortion, it actually stops the fertility. It stops the releasing of the egg or them coming together. So just to kind of clarify that. They block the effects of progesterone, which is essential during pregnancy and therefore leads to the termination of a pregnancy. And so there is a danger of taking that. It's like taking the morning after pill. And so ask your doctor, ask your infertility specialist if foods with stevia are right for you. And,
assuming you haven't tried baby.
yeah. And what's interesting is since I listened to this, Dr. Artis mentions back other countries and going back in history, they still use back then and still today they use this to not get pregnant, stevia plant. And I heard a he's not a doctor, David Asprey, he's like probably a famous biohacker. He also talked about that he had, before he knew, he doesn't even know this research, but he was saying, I have problems with stevia because I can't prove it, there's no studies on it, but other countries use it to prevent pregnancies. And so it's out there. You know, other countries have used it like a morning after pill. And so, and it's just the same as using that one or that one, or you can use stevia. And so how many times we know women who can't get pregnant? And it's like, is this a link? This is just another thing to look out for.
And a lot of things that happen, the doctor said, well, you need to lose some weight if you want to try to get pregnant. So I said, well, I'll quit drinking sugar, I'll go drink things with stevia in it. Well, it makes it worse, you know, so.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that it takes such a low amount. Now I haven't gone over besides it causing this or other things. All right, progesterone plays a major role in the female reproductive health, such as maintaining pregnancy, regulating the monthly menstrual cycle, and preparing the body for conception. And so that's how it prevents infertility, prevents fertility, actually causing infertility. And let me see if I have this. Yeah, this is what I wanted. What's interesting, remember it was 2,500 nanograms per 25,000. Thanks, 25,000. And when they used it, now granted, okay, in this study, I'm not sure how much they used in this. It's a different study. In rats, when they were exposed to the stevia, they were infertile for 50 to 60 days. That's almost.
They need to produce that then for people that have problems with rats.
How do you feed it to rats?
We have a mouse problem.
Maybe, if we can get them to eat it.
Yeah.
It is sweet, supposedly.
Yeah.
So maybe if you mix it in some water, make it like a sugar water.
Man.
But it won't kill them. It just makes them not reproduce for 50 to 60 days.
Well, that's good.
Well, that's a good litter.
If you can kill them while they're not reproducing, maybe you can get ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Maybe the next door neighbors won't come over. Other rats.
Now, how does it affect your animals though? So if your animals eat the rats that have been eating that, see, there's no research on that, they're using that as a pest control.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well.
Maybe
Something to think
control
about.
for those animals.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
You're thinking down the line. I didn't think that far.
Yeah.
Save that $100-something for the spaying.
Yeah, I'm just just give them stevia, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically this just kind of sums it up. This study reports that stevia can modulate an increase in progesterone production. Antagonist, the progesterone, and the agonist, which is the SCAP receptors, and that's on the sperm. That's just kind of how. So it's two ways. This is how it affects the male. That's how it affects the female. That it actually causes infertility. And so these are all the facts about stevia. Not looking good. And stevia can terminate a pregnancy just like the morning after pill. So I don't think it's something that we should be eating, in my opinion. There's been a link between the increased levels of progesterone and weight gain have also been reported. And I think, it's I'm not surprised because the gut flora, whenever it gets messed up, things can kind of get out of whack. And so that was just a study about the weight gain using stevia. another study. So it's another fact. Now let's look at the amounts. So we saw that the study that we were looking at, they did 10,000 and 25,000. And when we look at what's allowed in our food, so right here, cocoa products, chocolate products, you can have a candy bar, you could have 10 times that amount than what was in the study, with the results we saw. Flavored drinks, 80, how many of us, stevia's in so many drinks. I used to go get the stevia, when I go to Walmart, I gotta get me a snack every time I come home. And I'll go get one of those little fancy stevia drinks.
There you go.
There I go. And now I go to that
No
little
wonder we can't
section,
have kids.
and they're all. It's your fault. And
I think you caught her off guard on that.
anyway, so it has, 4 times, not 4 times, but at least over 3 times the amount they have, roughly. And so the only thing that's under that 25,000 is cereal and starch-based snacks. That's the only thing that the stevia amount was low in. And jellies and jams, and then you have fruit and vegetable preparation. So all of them are most of them are way above the 25,000.
At least 10 times, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 10 times and so forth. 132 times, 3 times, 8 times, and then 8 times the amount. So how much of that problem that we're having in America is from that? We don't really know. Progesterone production. Okay, we see that you can see the difference amounts they tested it at, and when they went up to 25,000, that's when they saw the progesterone production and those cell exposures being changed and manipulated. And so, and of course, just to remind you, that is way less than what's allowed in most of the foods. Okay, so here's a review from Food Science. What common foods contain stevia and what newer versions are approved? This is kind of important. Like, is stevia everywhere? Do I have to read everything I eat? Do I need to read the ingredient label? Is it hidden in foods I don't know it's hidden in? So now I have to be, because if I'm not raise my awareness of it, then I'm still consuming stevia even though I don't want to. So where are the common places where I'm going to find stevia? Whey protein. You have your whey protein mixes. They sweeten it. A lot of them use stevia. Carbohydrated drinks, like I get at Walmart, fruit juices, and they're getting more popular at Walmart too. I see those, protein bars, yogurt. More and more they're using stevia as their sweetener, thinking they're doing the best safe thing. Even some supplements, if it's a chew or a tablet. And so that's where it's hidden. Now here's the other tricky part, is that what names does it go by? Stevia on the label may not say stevia or steviol. You could see this, and this is what I have found on the products. It'll be Reb like A, Reb B, Reb C. They won't put that whole name out, but that's a different. These are all different forms of stevia. So you have to look out for them. The most common one is going to be the Reb, the abbreviation of that form of stevia with the letter behind it. And I have found that in food that I'm like, I don't believe I had chunked the whole thing. Instead of just throwing it away, I'm not going to eat it. And so do you think products sweetened with stevia is right for you? And that's his question. And that is it. So,
One of the things that, they talk about the progesterone and stuff and being was it endocrine and
I'm glad you said that.
yeah.
Remind me something.
Thing is that I noticed I never couldn't really take a lot of stevia. I get a bad headache. And I found out recently that a lot of my headaches and stuff were done because of my endocrine system, endocrine system is getting messed up. And so, but I always know, I never could do artificial sweeteners like, Equal or any of those because I would get a pounding headache. Well, I noticed that with stevia too, just not quite as bad. And But I know now that it's probably because of it's messing with the hormonal stuff that, you know, and not that I'm a hormonal person, you know, but, but I have noticed an issue with it. And since I've quit taking it, I don't feel as bad, since I've kind of purged it from my, diet, you know, and that's the thing is, I had gotten a hold of some, protein powder, supposed to be, and it tasted good. And so I started reading on it, and it had stevia in it. So I wrote a letter to the company, or email, and asked them how much it had in there, and told them that I was sensitive to it, and they sent back, well, we can't really tell you how much, because that's proprietary information. And, you know, they at least wrote me back, I was pleased with that, but if I take too much of it, I'll get a headache again, so.
And what I was reading in Dr. McCullough's book was he talks about, I can't remember if he mentioned stevia by name, but anything that if it's a progesterone and it depresses it, and it's the exact definition of what this one is, because it can be an antagonist and an agonist, depending on, it can go both ways, but it depresses progesterone. And you actually need, if you're exposed to microplastic endocrine disruptors, your progesterone can counteract that naturally. So as long
suppressing it, bad thing.
yeah, and so if you're suppressing it's a bad thing, but it's actually like, hey, you don't take stevia, you should be fine with drinking out of plastic bottles. I mean, you know, within common sense.
And by the way,